What's up, fam? Welcome back to the channel. This your boy Jay Reed for Jay Reed's Love of Cars. Should you cam your C6 Corvette? Let's talk about it. I've had mine cam for a couple years now, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it and what you should or should not be aware of. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Should you or should you not cam your C6 Corvette? There's a few things to consider that you may not really understand if you haven't cammed your Corvette or if you haven't thoroughly researched it. There's two things to consider. Is your car an automatic or is your car a stick shift? Because that's going to play a big difference in the cam that you select. So you may go online, go to the forums, ask somebody what kind of cam they got, and they may tell you stage 3, stage 4, BTR stage 3, stage 4. And since you see that that's pretty much what everybody's recommending, that's the cam you go and get. But you left out the fact that your car is an A6. A6 as in automatic. You cannot run a stage 3, stage 4 cam on a stock converter. You can't do it. It's too much cam for a stock converter on an automatic car. Most people, if not all people, that will run a stage 3, stage 4 cam will have a stick shift Corvette. If they run a stage 3, stage 4 cam in the automatic, they have an upgraded converter. It's as simple as that. Without that, your car is gonna buck. It's just gonna be really, really bad. It's gonna be real bad, and you will not enjoy it. So the most, now I'm sure, and I'll probably see in the comments, there's some people that have done it fine and dandy. Hats off to you. But the recommendation through my research, through my shop, through everything is you really shouldn't go over a stage 2 type cam. And with an automatic Corvette. And even with the stage 2, you're kind of pushing it, the drivability. Now you may hear that word thrown around a lot. Well, what exactly is drivability? Well, when you're at a stoplight or when you're backing out, or if it's a cold start and you're backing out of your garage, that car is gonna buck. It's gonna feel like it wants to go on its own. So you have to be aware of that. Is that something that you can deal with on that stock converter? Because you know, you'll be doing this all the time. And a lot of people don't like that. I love it. I don't care. It make it sound like that motherfucker is ready to go and he's just waiting for you to press the gas. So I don't really have a problem with that. But then, you know, but there's other issues even with that. So the most you want to go with an automatic C6 Corvette is pretty much like a stage 2 type cam. And yeah, so that's one thing to consider when you get ready to, if you're thinking about camming your car, if it's an automatic or if it's a stick, how far you can go with the supporting mods that you currently have on your car. Now, I've had mine since I actually got my cam installed on April 10th, 2019. So I have basically had it on there for almost 2 years. Had it on there. Had an aftermarket cam for almost 2 years. So, and it has been an experience to say the least. Number 2 thing that you need to be concerned with, once you install that aftermarket cam, oil changes are already expensive with a Corvette. You know, most people use Mobil 1 synthetic. and or if you're not changing your oil yourself, you have to pay somebody to get it changed, and that's going to be $100 and some bucks. With a cam car, you will have to change the oil that you are currently using. You will need something with a higher octane oil. The oil that I use is Driven LS 30. So I said a higher octane, a higher zinc content in the oil for that aftermarket camshaft. So that's very important, because if you install it yourself or want to install it yourself, or you have your buddy install it because he's installed cams all the time, you want to make sure that you ask him what kind of oil to put in your car, because you can't use the same one, and you can't assume that doesn't change. So that's the number 2 thing. These are real important things that you really need to think about before installing the cam in your C6 Corvette, and probably really any Corvette. My Mustang Fox body, it has a cam in there. I put regular, the cheapest shit I can find. I put a high mileage type of oil in it because I don't really care, and it is what it is. But in my Vette, I'll go with the Driven LS30 oil with high zinc content, and it's not cheap. I wish I had that price here, but it's not cheap per quart. So it is what it is. You got to pay. If you want to play, you got to pay, especially if you want your car to last. Number 3 thing that you want to consider when installing your cam is your car will be a little bit louder, especially if you already have headers and all of that. Your car is going to be louder. Do you mind that every day? So this goes along with the drivability that I spoke with earlier. There's going to be some drivability issues, and even my car has the equivalent. It's a custom grind cam from the shop that I take it to, which is similar to a stage 2 cam, a stage 2 type cam. Anyway, it's similar to the stage 2 type cam. So there is some surging. A lot of that can be tuned out, but me personally, I don't want it tuned out, because every time I get in the car, I want to know it's there. So you have to decide on what you particularly want. So when you take your car in to get it cammed, make sure you're dealing with an experienced tuner, someone that pretty much gonna know from his experience what most of the customers are looking for. That way it won't be your responsibility to try to direct them in the direction, because no mechanic really likes that anyway. So you take it to someone experienced, and they'll get your car tuned right with as little of surge as possible. I personally like the surge. It's not annoying to me, and but I've never really driven the car as a daily driver. I had a Jeep Compass, but I traded that in, so now it's becoming more of a daily driver prior to all of this COVID stuff. So there's that, the drivability. I digress. Me personally, I like that. I absolutely love it. If this is just like your weekend car, family car, or whatever, that your wife is going to be driving a lot or whatever, you may want to take that into consideration, because she may absolutely hate it. My wife really doesn't drive my car. She drives her own car. So it is what it is, and she's used to it anyway by now. So that's the 3rd thing that you want to consider. Now, have I had any issues with it or anything like that? No. And I drive my car fairly. I don't drive it every day. It's a 2010 when I think I have maybe 49,000 miles on it, and most of that was probably put in the last 2 years. So I don't drive it that much, but I do take it to the track, and I will open that bitch up on the street. So when I do get in it, it's usually driven kind of hard. But I say that to say this: the car has been, knock on wood, very reliable since the motor's been opened up, so to speak, and a new camshaft put in it. So that's another thing when you're looking at a mechanic. Make sure you trust these mechanics, because you still got a car note. I don't have a car note on mine, so it's mine. But if you still paying for it, you start making these modifications, and you start having issues with it because the mechanic said he could do something, or he gave you this tremendous deal, but he's a shade tree mechanic that barely knows how to change oil. that could be a problem. But if you go to a good shop, good reputable shop, have it installed. If you know what you're doing, install it. Well, if you know what you're doing and can install it yourself, you don't even need to watch this video to begin with. But anyway, go to a good shop and make sure they know what they're doing. Now, what goes into installing a cam? You got to do a little bit more than that. You have to replace your springs and all of that. So I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of what was done to my car when my cam was installed. Because a lot of people think you can just buy a cam and just install it and that's it. No, you're really gonna need like a cam package, which includes all of the supporting modifications that goes with the camshaft. And I see a lot, and I see this one question a lot on the forums: how much did you pay? How much does it cost? Well, in 2 years ago, in April 10th, 2019, I paid for mine at a local shop, and this included new springs, push rods, 160-degree thermostat, a ported throttle body, and a tune, and the camshaft. The total I was out of was $2,700. I don't know if you can see that. That's how much it cost me to get it installed. And I couldn't do it, so there you go. That's how much it cost me. And looking around today, even if I, because I still see this question a lot: how much did you pay? And it seems like everybody's pretty much still charging that same price. So if you're looking to have a cam installed in your Corvette, that's pretty much what you're gonna pay even today. So you can expect that if you can't do it yourself. The one thing that I liked about this shop is that included a new thermostat, as well as they ported my throttle body. You're not gonna get that with every cam package, but you still probably was gonna pay the same price. So just remember that too. So there's that. Now I know you're probably asking, well, what type of horsepower did you gain? Prior to the cam, I had a headers, had full exhaust installed, and a tune. So that particular, after those modifications, my car dynoed at 408 horsepower, and I think like 402 foot-pounds of torque. After the cam install, this is just the cam install, so it dynoed at 455 horsepower, and I'm rounding down actually, 455 horsepower and 424 foot-pounds of torque. So I don't know if you can see that. So as you can see, for that amount of money, that was a pretty considerable, that was a pretty healthy gain just from a cam install. I went from 408 to 455 and gained what, 20 can't say it, gained like 20 foot-pounds of torque, just from that cam install, and the tune and those supporting mods. Now I will say this too, they also added the I had an aftermarket CIA. While they were there taking it off anyway, I bought a cold air intake. I think it's the Black Hawk or whatever it is. It was one of the cheaper ones, probably like $274. I wasn't gonna spend too much on the intake because they don't help that much anyway. But since they're gonna have to take it off anyway, I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and install this there, and I'm probably gonna get that put on for free. And they did not charge me extra for installing it, even though it did require a few additional tweaks to get it on there. So that part was good. Would I do it again? The question of the day. If I could do it all over, would I get my C6 Corvette canned? And the answer to that, fuck yeah, I damn sure would. The shit is the funniest shit ever to drive. It sounds like a monster every time I crank it up. I get a chub. Still to this day, it is what it is. I pay the money again. There is absolutely zero regrets for me getting my car cam. It got me up to 455 wheel horsepower. Now, if I would have did these same mods on like a Z06, man, I'd be well over 500, hands down. Or if I would have had a stick shift, because my car is an A6, you can expect even more horsepower because there is less drivetrain loss. Probably I would have been about 465, or somewhere in between 455 and 465 just with a stick shift. So for the price for the price that you pay and the horsepower increase, it's really worth it. And I kind of recommend those mods. Some people, for the amount I've paid total for the full exhaust and the cam, yes, I could have bought an A&A supercharger, an ECS supercharger, had it installed for pretty much the same price, and would have been well over 500 horsepower. Simple as that. For the same price, for the amount of money that I spent, I could have been over 500 horsepower easily with just if I was just installed a supercharger. But I wouldn't have that same sound, and there's no way that I would have kept those stock manifolds on the car. I still would have ended up getting headers anyway. And then me personally, I really didn't care necessarily. My goal was to reach 500, and it still kind of is. I just need to figure out what direction I want to go to next to get it. 500 wheel horsepower. I'm thinking about putting nitrous on it. That'll be an easy 600 and call it a day. And that may be what I end up doing this year. Who knows? We'll see. But with this COVID stuff, I don't even really drive it that much. So right now, I'm not really putting too much money in that car because I rarely even drive it. But yeah, I could have went the supercharger route, but that would have been 10 grand at one time. I was able to break this up over the course of a few years. So there's that too. And there's no way I would have been as happy as I am now, especially when I started up and I hear that chop is loud. I have a Corsa Extreme exhaust. I got the loudest exhaust I could possibly find and one of the better exhausts I could find. Got Dynatech long tube headers, high flow cats, X-pipe, all of that good stuff. So the foundation is there for me to do a lot to the car to make even more power if I so chose to. And really at the end of the day, I really just need a converter. So that may be my next move, is to replace that stock converter with an aftermarket converter. And I'll need a transcooler too if I could go that route. I think that will probably be the biggest bang for my buck, because right now I have enough horsepower to run at least a low 7 in the 8th, probably even a high 6, but with this stock converter I can only rev up to maybe 1200, 1500, 1600 tops coming off the line, which makes for a 1.9 to 2.0 60 foot. That's slow as fuck. I need to bring that down to like a 155. And as you can see, I have the traction to make that happen, but right now those are kind of useless because I don't have enough launch RPMs. But that's a story for another day. So anyway, if you're thinking about getting a cam in your car, these are the stuff you need to be concerned with or you need to think about. But I can tell you that you will absolutely love it, especially if it's a second car, it's a play car you want to have fun with, go out, because people gonna test you all the time. I don't care if they got a Dodge Hemi 4-wheel drive 2003 truck, they still gonna test you, and it's fun. Some of them, you'll give it to them, then others you like, I'm not gonna even waste my time. But anyway, this your boy Jay Reed for Jay Reed's Love of Cars. Hope you got something out this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do all of that good stuff. And I'm going to keep making content. Peace.